Caitlin Clark reflects on NIL-fueled Iowa stardom after Napheesa Collier recent comments. The WNBA Finals may be tipping off without Napheesa Collier on the floor, but her voice is still everywhere. Collier, the decorated all-star champion and business builder, didn't hold back when she questioned the league's state and leadership. Her words landed hard, especially because she's not just another player with a hot take. People listen when one of the league's most prominent names calls out the system. Now, her peer Caitlin Clark had something to say about it. Caitlin Clark reflects on NIL journey after Napheesa Collier's WNBA call-out. When Collier aimed for the leadership, Clark didn't push back. Instead, the Indiana Fever star nodded right along. Fee said it all, Clark admitted in a recent press conference. However, while Collier focused on league politics, Clark shifted the conversation to where her journey began. As many know, Clark's journey began in Iowa. Clark knows firsthand how much NIL has changed the game. These kids and what they're making in college these days is pretty insane, she said. She called it a world completely different from when she entered Iowa, pointing out that the money rolling in for today's stars is bigger than she initially imagined. For Clark, everything began with her first Hy-Vee deal, which she still brags about because of the best chocolate long johns around. From there came Nike, Buick, Gatorade, State Farm, Panini, and more. By the time she finished her college career, Clark had accumulated a valuation north of $3.4 million, according to On3. The numbers are big, no doubt, but what is striking is how she ties NIL back to the WNBA. Clark believes young players are now entering the league with brand power they never had before. They're beginning to build their brands in college, and then bringing that to the WNBA, she explained. That shift, she argued, is part of why this moment in the league feels so massive. NIL has handed players leverage, visibility, and a fan base before their first professional tip-off. And Clark is proof. McKenna Wilixko addresses Caitlin Clark comparisons by fans after commitment to Iowa. Clark arrived in Indiana not just as a rookie but as a household name, and it helps that she was the highest scorer in NCAA D1 history. That's precisely why Collier's frustration hit differently. The Minnesota Star shared that Commissioner Kathy Engelbert once told her Clark should be grateful for her millions off the court, because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. While Clark chose not to address those statements directly, her own story almost does it for her. In Iowa, she built her brand with her own hands, drawing sold-out arenas and record-breaking TV numbers long before she ever laced up in a Fever jersey. And NIL made that possible. The league did not give her the audience, at least not all of it, they simply inherited it. WNBA inherited the Caitlin Clark magic. They did not build it. And the numbers do back that statement up. In 2024, when the Hawkeyes went up against West Virginia in the NCAA tournament's second round, the game had 4.9 million viewers on ESPN. Those numbers made it one of the most watched women's tournament games ever outside of the Final Four and championship. Iowa broke its own record from 2 days prior during that match. They had a viewership of 3.23 million on ABC when they faced Holy Cross. To make things more interesting, those matches outpaced every men's and women's tournament game on cable that year. It even beat Houston's overtime game against Texas A&M, which pulled 4.09 million on TNT. It marked the fourth time this season that an Iowa women's game crossed the 3 million viewer threshold, with broadcasts on Fox, CBS, ABC, and now ESPN. So there is no denying Clark's impact on viewership and games. Additionally, let's not forget that Sportico numbers tell their own story. Clark's rookie season spotlighted one of the starkest realities in professional sports. As per reports from Sportico, just 1% of her $11.1 million annual income came from the WNBA. Her salary and bonus with the Indiana Fever hovered around $100,000, while the other 99% poured in from sponsors like Nike, State Farm, and Gatorade. Still, Clark isn't here to burn bridges. Clark stressed respect for Collier while reminding everyone that the real fight is bigger than one exchange. "We are in the biggest moment in WNBA history," Clark said. And in her eyes, that puts responsibility on everyone. Clark framed her role simply as someone who is trying to make the league something the next generation wants to join. "I grew up as a huge fan of this league," she said, adding that her legacy will hopefully inspire young girls to wear a WNBA uniform and chase any dream they have. For Clark, NIL was the start. But the endgame is something bigger. Clark dreams of building a WNBA where players aren't told to be grateful, but are given the tools and respect to keep growing the game.